Hello, everyone. Welcome to This Week in Guns, brought to you by Patriot Patch Company, VZ Grips, MAF Corporation, and FFL Payments. This show offers commentary on all the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Matthew LaRosiere, and I'm joined today by two illustrious guests. I found this homeless man.
Hi.
This is Mr. Otis.
I'm Matthias.
He works for Forgotten Weapons LLC.
Jesus.
But no, just kidding. Matthias, as I'm sure all of my audience will know, is from probably the greatest modern gun review channel on YouTube, C_Arsenal. So definitely give him a check out. And then we've also got my rat.
It's me. I'm coming to you live from the fields of Excavated from Quake 3, armed with the M392 DMR from Halo.
That is, I think that's all accurate. Wow, this is the first time you said all the video game things correctly.
Indeed.
That's good. So how's it going, boys?
Standard.
Well, it's pretty good. I can tell you're worried I'm mad at you because you were nice to me on the intro.
What do you mean I was nice to you? I just said you worked for Forgotten Weapons.
Yeah. He backpedaled pretty quick. I don't know. Whenever he's nice, it means he feels guilty about something.
That's not true. You know, I can be a nice person. Everyone says so. Everyone says that Matt guy, nicest one I ever met. Can't wait to have him over for Thanksgiving again, for him to ruin it again.
He's like, he's such a lovely man. Where's my wallet? Did I leave it at home?
Yeah, you left it at home. Also, what's your zip code?
Are you drinking a Monster Energy drink?
Shut up.
That stuff will rot your teeth sprain.
No, it's got no sugar, you guys. This is the new one.
You don't understand. It doesn't react with his Axe body spray.
So how do you get more energy out of it if there's no sugar? How many calories are in not sugar?
I think it's got chemicals in it that make you energize.
Oh,
It's 10 calories.
Huh.
Oh, and look, there's one of the guys from your video game on it. Look, you can get in-game rewards. Here, guys, go ahead and scan this can. I'm not going to use
that
it.
Call of Duty?
That's Monster Chef.
Call of Duty.
Yeah, scan the can. All right. Anyway, so before we go too far,
Okay.
it's our friend VZGrips.com. Look, the brand new VZ Operator IVTM 1911 grips.
How much does this cost?
$65.
So if you bought a TSAS 1911 for like $400 and then spent $65 on the grips, you would have a weapon that was superior to what our boys had in 2 world wars.
Whoa. That's technically true.
Yeah.
What happened to my junky 1911? Oh yeah. Here it is. I might go get some of those.
Yeah, put them on that 1911. Did you know your hammer's back?
Oh, is it? Whoa.
I open carried a 1911 like for 1 week because
I know why.
I was helping out at a gun shop and I was like, this will be funny. So I open carried a 1911 for a week and I learned a very strong lesson in why police moved to striker fired pistols. Because every 60-year-old man walked up to me and went, did you know your hammer's back? And I would go, that's how it works. And I go,
the hammer's back is a store of energy, so that in case I need to use it, it's there.
It compresses this thing known as a helical coil spring.
It's one of those things where I went, wow, I would have never experienced this any other way. It's amazing.
Yeah. But so yeah, guys, VZ Grips, they're great. They're actually a really good choice for a carry gun. You should check them out. And I mean, guys, at only $65, we can knock that down, though, just for you. If you use promotional code ThisWeek15, that's THISWEEK15, you're going to get 15% off of your grips. That's an amount that's less than $65. I'm a lawyer. I don't do math. But go on VZGrips.com, check them out. Don't forget promotional code ThisWeek15 so that they know I've been doing the thing and posting their website. Thank you, VZ Grips, for supporting the show and our habits.
Grips. Say Draco Grips now.
Yeah, and also make the Draco grip.
Yeah.
Make a foregrip for a Draco because that's a good idea.
So next up, let's talk about the Nagger case. This is I feel like too much ink has been spilled on this
Now,
because
hold on. What does NAGR stand for?
it's the National Association for Gun Rights, and it wasn't at all intentional. It's
How can we be sure?
it's totally intentional. They're obvious. Anyway,
Huge.
I thought there was another NAGR organization for gun rights. Am I crazy, or did I dream that up?
with two A's.
Yeah. Isn't that it? National African American.
Yeah, for gun rights. Yeah.
Yeah, the NAGAs. That's what it was. NAGAs. I'm confusing the NAGRs and the NAGAs.
Yeah, you are. So I feel like way too much ink has been spilled on the NAGR case, NAGR v. Naperville. Everyone's saying, "Oh, the Supreme Court, they're going to step in super early and give like emergency relief," and watching it with bated breath. And I think it's because
Wait, the federal Supreme Court or their state Supreme Court?
The real Supreme Court.
When has the federal Supreme Court, like when has the Supreme Court ever quickly gotten in on?
A couple times, and they were in situations where there were
gun rights, though, have they?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think they
It's
ever had on guns.
Gun rights is like the redheaded stepchild. Like I don't.
Well,
know
actually,
why.
they have on guns whenever the government's losing because they just did that with the frame receiver rule.
Yeah.
If your name's Merrick Garland, you've got a fast track to that emergency.
It's not like the ACLU in that regard. They're like, yeah, all these rights except for that one. We're just going to ignore that for a moment.
Yeah, counting to 10.
Yeah.
So the long and short of what had happened here with this was while all of these cases were asking for an en banc review, NAGR had filed a emergency appeal to the Supreme Court where it was like, we want you to stay the lower court's decision, which would mean the injunction's back in effect until we've heard about, are we going to be picked up en banc or if we're going to appeal to you. So it's like a stay, it's an interlocutory stay sort of a thing. So it's while the case is still proceeding, we would like you to undo the circuit court decision, which is a super rare thing. And then you're multiplying that rareness by the Supreme Court stepping in early on a gun case. Very unlikely that would ever happen.
And it's a super rare thing because it's kind of one of those supreme showing of the hands,
right?
Where it's not good because then that's going to have a serious impact on how the panel writes their next opinion.
And so the en banc decision was denied. All of the en banc petitions were denied.
Right.
And then the Supreme Court then came and denied this motion for a stay. Now NAGR has now already said they're going to file an actual formal petition of the circuit's of the circuit's opinion. So they're going to appeal the decision itself directly to the Supreme Court. So it's now a direct appeal instead of an emergency appeal. They said they plan on doing that soon. And of course, I guess the downside of that is at this point that does drag the case out longer because if they just sort of rested now, then it goes back to the first court, and then it has to percolate its way back up on the merits. Whereas they're now dragging out longer for that. But I guess the flip side, the good thing about them doing that is you might as well exhaust all the options available now before the registration requirement actually kicks in. Because if you could get the Supreme Court to say, yes, we will actually take the case whenever it's not an emergency interlocutory appeal asking for a stay, and we're actually reviewing some sort of decision. So there's still a chance, but again, that chance is still extremely, extremely low because they've seemed to give in every indication they're not really interested in emergency stuff, which is stupid.
Right.
But especially because, and I think we may have touched on this last time, when it comes to like preliminary stages cases like this one, this is like so extremely well briefed for a preliminary case. Like a lot of these gun bans tend to be, where all of the information that's going to come out in discovery and on the merits is already in this case. It's just like there's going to be a little bit more monologuing from both sides, and it's all going to be the same information, right? Nothing new is going to really come out.
Yeah,
it's not.
And that is an interesting facet of this area of law, is that most of the fighting is done at the summary judgment level.
Yes.
Right. And you'll have like 5 years fighting all the way up to the Supreme Court on a summary judgment question. And then when it comes down to, no, you're not entitled to summary judgment, or it only has to one party, then it has to percolate all the way through to trial.
Yep.
Like, before it then becomes appealable again. And I do think that some of this has to do with the way that gun rights groups have kind of turned litigation into they're e-begging, right?
It's a fundraising scheme.
Yeah, it's a fundraising scheme.
You can't ask for money if you're not fighting cases.
Right. And so fighting cases becomes doing it the most intensely inefficient way possible. Right. Like, so don't get me wrong. I'm a guy who loves to preserve issues. But sometimes you're gone beyond the limits of issue preservation and you're actually just taking forever. I'm not sure if I would have run this case the same way, but then again, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's not visible to us here. What I think we want to see is actually kind of give the lower court judges the opportunities to do what they're going to do.
Write an actual opinion and then see where it goes.
Exactly, because you can get away with a lot of fudging when we're talking about pure legal standards on, you know, summary judgment motions. So anyway, that's me kind of, you know, quarterbacking on this, but I am noticing that we're not going to see results really anytime soon in the assault weapon cases. I don't think.
Right. For people curious, at least with Illinois' assault weapons case, unless the Supreme Court takes this up once NAGR does it, because they haven't actually done this yet, you're probably looking at a 1 to 2 year thing before it's back up at the Supreme Court. And probably the way that unfolds is, you know, it'll go back to the district court, assuming they all go back to the same judges. The Stephen McGlynn will end up writing an opinion that says, yes, the ban has to go away. He'll put a stay on it because that'll be the proper thing to do. The state will appeal it. And then probably we end up getting the same panel of judges to review it again. And the same panel of judges will then say, oh, no, it has to go away. And then we appeal that to the Supreme Court. And that will end up taking 2 years because they have to defend the honor and integrity of the court by pretending that there's more stuff to discover in this case. And there just isn't. No materially new facts or arguments will be presented. There'll just be more words to back them up.
Exactly. But so, yeah, that is the Supreme Court, again, declining to take emergency action in the Illinois assault weapon ban case. Not really surprising, but, there's not much to read in the tea leaves here. There's no grand prediction that you can take from this.
I'm sad.
That's good. You feel better now? There's a puppy.
I mean, that's good, but it's over there.
Well, anyway, California. The California DOJ has released emergency regulations on concealed carry permits. And importantly, NRA certifications are no longer acceptable for firearms instructors. And
can I ask why this is an emergency?
Because everything's an emergency in California.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. And of course, the NRA has a lot to say about this. This is, the NRA is a leader in firearms training.
Yeah, all of a sudden they care.
Yeah, and this is only designed to, limit access and ability to get training, which honestly, they're probably right. They're probably 100% right on that.
Oh, yeah.
Because most people who are firearms instructors have their purported certification through the NRA. That certification, by the way, is complete BS.
It's a almost safety course.
It's almost industry standard, though.
It is, which is kind of hilarious.
Right. It is the. I mean, I'm struggling to think of anything else that's recognized as a training program. Like what? Huh?
There really aren't many.
Yeah. So what does California expect you to use other than that?
I think they have a state-sponsored thing.
Do you have to pay the state to use their state-sponsored thing?
Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training and State of California Firearms Instructor or Range Master course.
Oh, that.
So you can also get training from the Bureau of Security and Investigative Services, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California Firearm Training Instructor.
I feel like this has two different elements and two different fights going on at the same time.
Or authorization from a State of California accredited school to teach a firearm safety course.
That's nice. I talked with an NRA certified instructor once, and he told me that the 1911 has a stronger action than the Glock because it has 2 locking lugs instead of just 1. And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
You're really smart, guy. Can I have my badge? God, but yeah. So I mean, it's always fun to dump on the NRA, right? But this is very obviously designed to just, there goes 90% of the instructor pool in the state, probably, right?
Yeah, you're also like you're preventing finances from going to the NRA in their eyes. So they're going, okay, we can wage a financial war against the NRA. We can basically control where people are able to get their accreditations, and
that's probably the motivator here.
Yeah, it's a two-front attack for them. It's a lovely move on their part in terms of their goals, but
it is interesting, right? Because then it forces some fascinating questions,
right?
Where if the result here is a serious increase in cost, which I think it would have to be, right?
Yeah.
At least in the short term, that might produce Second Amendment colorable reactions. And the only way that the state, and if I were the state and I was trying to fix this, right, and do my two-front battle, it would be to create a low or no cost instructor certification program through the state, which would then be actually, like, in terms of instructor accreditation, it wouldn't hurt anything on the grand scale, right? Because these certs are meaningless. They're entirely meaningless, in my opinion, anyway. But it would probably save their attack. But on the other hand, the only other thing they could do is just eliminate this requirement and like.
Well, if your real motivation was gun safety, right? Because it's surface.
Then you'd come up with a real curriculum.
Not even necessarily curriculum. You would come up with standards. You would just say, hey, we need these points to be covered. The private sector can cover these points, but they have to make sure they do. And then whoever's the most efficient at doing it or the best at doing it, getting the best results, you would find some way to sort of re-solidify around that every couple of years. You'd go, oh, this is where it's really working out.
The gold star one.
Right. But they don't actually have an interest in safety training programs.
Yeah.
At all. That's just something that they've grabbed a hold of that sounds reasonable that they can shove in the path of your average person from doing what they want to do.
It's a state that wants mandatory, like they want mandatory gun safety training to be a thing, while also trying to make it as difficult as possible to get gun safety training in the meantime, which is just like bizarre. They speak out of both sides of their mouth, and of course, the only reasonable, logical conclusion is they don't want people owning guns. So that gun control has only ever succeeded at doing two things, and that's increasing cost of firearms ownership and increasing the complexity of firearms ownership, at least in a legal way. And so this succeeds, I'd say, fantastically at doing both. But so yeah, great job, California. It's weird, right? Because I actually, and Ivan and I were talking about this other day, it's almost refreshing seeing the anti-gun states actually brainstorming and trying to come up with ways to creatively screw us over, rather than just doing the normal thing.
Do you think they believe that all this stuff is going to hold, or do you think that they're just sort of throwing stuff against the door? Like the equivalent of somebody throwing the dresser against the door to slow down the attacker while they figure out what they're going to do otherwise.
So I wouldn't say I don't think they think they're in the position of running away from an inevitable attacker. I think that the position they think that they're in is, crap, they knocked down our barricade. Let's try this,
Right. Because they realize, at least for now, in several of the circuits, they have judges that are amenable to anything, right? Because like even out of the 7th Circuit, right, the opinion in the previous story came down to AR-15s aren't arms because they're like an M16. And in fact, indistinguishable from an M16, as opposed to common handguns, which are not indistinguishable from military handguns, despite them then referring to an expert witness who said the 1911 is a good choice, which is just incredible thinking power. So it's certain. I think
to be fair, it has double the locking strength.
Yeah, it does have double the locking. So I think at some rate it has to be a consideration they're making, where they realize there's at least half the country or so where they can like pass any law whatsoever, And all they really need to do is find solid enough footing that if it gets to the Supreme Court doesn't reverse it. So, if they throw up enough stuff, because I guess it's a situation where they can't lose in the end, where if their law gets upheld, great, they found something that can stick. If the Supreme Court reverses their law, huge useful utility in electioneering when it comes to evil right-wing Supreme Court won't let us do a gun safety. They said no, the children have to have AR machine guns in school. That's what the Supreme Court said.
But don't worry, our guys came up with 3 new tools. It's all constant electioneering and positioning and posturing like that. But one other thing about why the 1911 is a better choice than the Glock. The Glock needs a feed ramp in order to eat ammunition.
Yeah.
And the 1911 eats ammunition from the magazine, despite the ammunition being pointed at a wall.
Yeah, at the wall.
But anyway, so yeah, that's next up. Yeah. Okay.
I want to go on a rant, but everybody in the audience already knows. We already know the whole process.
Go ahead.
What? Oh, you want me to go on a rant?
Yeah.
No, my problem is every time we see this situation with the stall tactics and everything else, there is no possible punishment for the people who are constantly evading securing the rights for others. And yet you, as the person who has been harmed,
it's 2 years at the quickest.
Yeah, and by the way, they don't think of it as a harm as you being denied your right. They don't think that's a harm at all. And then
God help you, inconvenienced for safety.
And God help you if you're the person who asserts your rights in that situation, because then you're arrested and prosecuted and bled dry through this process in which their personal money is not on the table, but yours is. Their personal time isn't on the table, but yours is, and they just do it over and over and over again. And so a lot of this is just, we can just keep grinding people to dust while we wait things out, because we're going to exhaust 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, just whatever. We can burn lives this whole time for what? For moving the needle ever so slightly on, they're not even going for a ban. I don't understand. What is this really doing for them in the long run either? All this energy being spent by all these people over one little strategy. Again,
we need to do is have federalism do a big funny haha, where the federal government passes a law that says any state that passes a gun law that's challenged on constitutional grounds, that not even gets challenged, right? If they pass a law and then there's a constitutional challenge to that, immediately the Supreme Court reviews it. First thing that happens, the Supreme Court looks at, was this law constitutional in the first place? And
that's not terribly helpful, when when the Supreme Court shifts the way it does, right?
Right. But at least for now, it would help greatly if the Supreme Court could just keep going no.
So how about this? What if we did 1983, but we did it good? Because unfortunately, the way the law has devolved, not evolved, right? The English common law system was the greatest legal system that ever came about. And it worked great for a long time until we started pretending to be French and statutory, putting statutory definitions everywhere. So I'm saying, let's just go straight French in the opposite direction. Let's say, government, here are the only areas that you are allowed to do. And
a commerce clause that's bleedingly clear. It's interstate commerce is defined as it's literally just food.
Yeah.
That's still just going to encroach, though. If you think about it, the original federal government was so limited.
Well, then you'd have to. Well, exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. Is I'm basically saying you make the commerce clause
nothing
pages, right? And then you have an inverse of that, where it's anything that the government does which it does not fit into one of those. Right, you're liable for actual damages plus, and then anything you do that has a negative impact, right, or a chilling effect on the exercise of the right, you get treble damages. So,
but see, I don't know that works, because the damages ultimately are just taxpayer money,
right?
They don't feel it. To be honest, I think
there's a way to fix that, but they will arrest me if I say it.
you know the Nix check thing, where it's if they don't tell you in so many days that you're denied, then you're approved.
Right.
But how do we not have this for the entire court system, where it's look, if they take more than a month to tell you whether or not that's your right, it's your right until they come back and say no. You know what I mean? Like while they're dicking around, then it's yours until they come back. It should assume the affirmative until it is.
It was all designed to, and then we
Right.
cocked it up, and so now I'm saying the only way we can probably save it here is by defining what constitutes a right abrogation in unbelievable detail, in every conceivable way. And what you do is, yes, the money will ultimately be coming from the taxpayer.
I think I found a way to fix that.
But well, hold on. What you do is you charge it to the individual department, right? Like the sub department of like the smallest group of people. And so immediately you just nuke all their pensions whenever they lose a lawsuit. And I bet you they would change the way they behave. Like they would change.
I was just going to say anybody who sponsored it or voted yes on it becomes an indentured servant working at minimum wage for the plaintiffs. They're
Well,
not
bringing it
slaves.
back.
They get paid minimum wage to pay off their debt.
I think it's simpler if you get caught with a human rights violation, right? You're just not allowed to run again.
You're allowed to run.
Yeah, because
more
we take
time.
your legs.
Yeah, if the court says like, hey, you got tagged on 2 cases in which a human rights violation was flipped. It's like, hey, you said they can't do that. And the court came back and said no, they can. That you get a ding. You know what I mean? You get a couple of dings as a politician, and it's just like, oh no, so you're just gonna have to tell people to vote for somebody else. You can't do this anymore. You're out. Like you have a track record of fundamentally violating people's rights, so therefore you can't be a politician.
You just get Robespierre'd.
Yeah, because everybody wants term limits, and I actually don't. I don't like term limits as a concept, and I get yelled at for it. But the problem is for me is we already have a lot of actors that are not actually politicians; they're just party reps.
Right.
And I believe that if we go to term limits exclusively, we're just going to have party reps. All the parties are just going to program people. They're going to feed them all their data through their interns, and you're just going to have these actors, and you're not actually going to have anything that you could possibly keep track of.
Well, you're describing what we already have.
Yeah, but it's gonna escalate. Like it's weird, but I believe that that's an escalation of the problem we already have. I do think you might get some gain if you say, hey, if you poke this button too many times, your career's over. You're out. If the courts turn over on you too many times, you're out of here. That might be enough for them to be like, we should only poke that button when we're really sure.
And they also get the felon treatment where they lose all the rights a felon would.
I mean, to them, it's the same thing.
I don't know. I don't know that you could. The problem is that I'm not saying you couldn't do that, but I would have to be more familiar with because I'm just throwing out an idea.
Yeah.
And I hate to take away someone else's human rights. It's weird, but it's one of those things. It's like an execution for a murder. It's one of those things you're going, I don't know, maybe it might be fair. It might not be fair. I'd have to look at it more. But I do know if you have a proven record of violating human rights, you shouldn't be in politics.
Technically, like the right to hold office, right, and run for it is a liberty interest constitutionally protected. So It is a wholesale abrogation of a fundamental right. That said, you motherfuckers are trying to take away our gun rights if we look at a police station wrong.
Well, first of all, you can get nonviolent felonies that will remove your gun rights, which is wild. And yet we're doing something much more specific. We're saying, if you abuse your power to abuse others, then we don't want you to be able to do
I think it would be totally fair for it to be just limited to you cannot run in any you can hold no position of power basically in politics.
Right.
No voting.
Just like it,
and also voting. I think taking voting too, yeah.
Well, that's a whole we don't want to go down that road.
I think it's okay.
That's a public discussion for something else. But yes.
Yeah. I think that would be reasonable. And the reason they would fight this so hard is because to these people, bro, losing the ability to serve in public office is a death sentence. Because can you imagine if they had to go out into the economy and produce value for another human being?
And nobody would just pay them for opening their mouth?
Yeah. I mean, maybe somebody would, but
I mean, it would make you very wary of trampling rights if you got 2 passes at that and you're out.
And that's what we want, though. And and frankly, that's what this nation was built on. Except the wary of trampling rights was people are going to hurt me physically.
You're going to lose a lot more than, oh no, people
Yeah.
can't give me money for opening my mouth anymore.
They're going to do weird stuff to my body and burn effigies at my door. Like, yeah. So a step towards that without perhaps going all the way to that, I think is a good idea.
That's true. To be fair, I don't know that they necessarily knew that politicians would be able to remove themselves from their local communities as well as they have done too.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started on that.
Okay, we won't. Let's go on to something else.
All right. So you know what's super annoying being in the gun industry?
Ammo prices?
When the evil bankers try to take away your services, take away your ability to serve your customers. And that's why, wow, FFL Payment Solutions. This is a company that is not going to ever say, oh, wait, you sell guns? And then try to like snatch your credit card processing out from under you. And on top of that, they have a simple business model of just not being greedy or evil. Guys, I guarantee if you have an FFL or firearms related business, or you know somebody who has one, you got to send them over to fflpaymentprocessing.com. Get a free rate check. It's free, you idiot. And you could save a lot of money every month, especially if you tell them I sent you.
Now, is this because a lot of local gun stores are overpaying on merchant fees because they're in a quote unquote dangerous business despite being a very stable business?
Oh, yeah. Despite being one of the only areas of commerce where you literally like need 2 forms of ID to like affirmatively prove and accept you picked up the item, because the biggest risks in credit card is like, oh, I didn't get the item. And so you signed this form and gave your photo ID that you got the item, right? So that's actually what FFL Payment Processing does. They go and advocate for you as a business to get your business properly evaluated and properly classified for what it is, and then all of a sudden your rates aren't going to be outrageous. It's a really big change. And
yeah, I was going to say, what's the financial risk that we're covering for having payment processing for a gun store? They're not. Remember that time you lost all that money providing payment processing for a gun? Oh no, I don't know that it's ever happened.
It's not a thing. And like, there's like this perceived idea that it's like, oh, but if somebody did a notable Las Vegas, then they'd come after you as the credit card processor. But
no, it doesn't happen. So like you can look at my video with Gino that we did on the credit card processing on Fudbusters. It's actually really interesting because we kind of get a little more nerdy into how they do these numbers. But one of the big things that's factored in when they call you high risk is actually reputational risk profile. And that has nothing to do with the actual risk of your business. It's a made-up risk that the intermediary banks place upon the likelihood that they will have reputational damage for affiliating with you.
Imagine banks having a bad reputation. That would ruin everything.
Everybody loves and trusts banks.
Other people in this space, purported pro-gun.
Did you know that someone bought a gun? I don't trust the banks anymore.
Well, but seriously, there's other pro-gun payment processors that will still charge you these rates. And if you try to audit them out, it turns out they're literally like giving you the finger. They're like, oh, well, we don't want to be associated with you, so you're gonna pay a little extra. With FFL Payment Processing, guys, look at their name. They're not gonna sit there and be like, you haven't adequately hidden the fact that you're selling guns to people. So yeah, check them out. It's a good thing, whatever.
It's a good thing, whatever gets out.
I'm the best advertiser ever. You really get your money's worth with me. So next up, this one's really interesting. Congress, right, is struggling to get answer on the administration's firearms export pause. Like, that is so funny that the government slaps itself and then strikes at itself in confusion, right?
Which exports have we paused?
So so
we're not allowed to export any firearms?
Correct.
Defense articles, actually, so even broader.
What about even on the collector's end? What if I wanted to send a gun to a Frenchman?
So France, I think, is on the list of super best friend countries that are exempt from the pause.
Okay, so I can send them.
whatever. But anyway, like the Bureau of Industry and Security had just like announced out of nowhere, apropos of nothing, that it was pausing all new export licenses to most of the world for 90 days. And then like, the oversight committee is like, hey, what are you like doing? And
do you know what this was nominally supposed to prevent?
I know what it like.
We know what it's actually trying to prevent, but do you know what what they were claiming they were doing? Have they made their excuse? Have they said it's for security in I don't know where?
Well, so their response to the pressure was, this is not a change in policy. It's just a pause to make sure that our existing policies are aligned with our national security priorities.
Right, but who are we afraid of right now?
Our greatest ally.
It's just so confusing because you're going.
Guess who's the first country on the list of super best friend countries that you're still allowed to export guns to?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just want to draw it out. I want to know who. Like, this is a weird. What a weird thing to have happen.
I wonder if part of it was there was a substantial number of places that were exporting guns to Ukraine that was all semi-automatic stuff. So it wasn't like an arms export deal with the government of Ukraine. It was much smaller level Ukrainian entities importing guns from the US. Like that's where those bunch of sub 2000s came from, is like police departments were selling their sub 2000s because they were like, we don't want these anymore. And then we want to upgrade. So let's sell them to Ukraine and then pretend that.
Yeah, they wanted the Gen 2.
Yeah, they wanted one that takes the M&P mags because those are better.
Yeah, that's what I have. Mine's
so like, do you?
Yeah, mine's multi-mag.
Yeah, I have the multi-mag in 40. It's really good.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. I want a 3D print an adapter to take Steyr mags.
Shut up.
Okay.
He's always sitting there saying, "You're so off topic." And then he comes.
No, I didn't say that he was off topic. I said he giggles too much. Being off topic's fine. You just can't sit there and be like, so you guys sound like Beavis and Butthead.
Anyway, the craziest thing about this pause, though, is that it happened again, apropos of nothing. There are, and no one apparently mentioned to these bureaucrats that, hey, there are companies who's like, this is their, business. And you just suddenly turned off their business.
Well, that's a win-win for them.
Yeah, but like, how on earth do we just accept this? Because there has not been much uproar about this. This is one thing where I'm like, hey, clickbaiters, why haven't you been baiting over this one? They just haven't.
I want to point out that much of the U.S.'s wealth was earned by supporting our allies and their enemies in times of war.
Well, and also, our country exists because of serendipitous illegal importation of firearms.
Samuel Colt got very wealthy selling to both the British and the Russians in the Crimean War. And everybody went, oh, we should keep doing that.
That's cool. The thing here that really upsets me is how much firearms import-export laws have an effect on the average person, not just here, but worldwide, ability to give effect to their fundamental rights. Because look, you can have the government can say you have a right to, whatever, right? It can concede that. But then if it's going to say, but you can only have crappy bad guns made here by stupid bad people, that's not really much of a right, is it?
Yeah, you should be able to have good guns.
Yeah, the good guns are made other places.
Right.
But I get really, really fired up about this, especially because the courts treat import-export controls as like, oh, these are just mere business regulations.
It's strict commerce, and there's no Second Amendment. It would be like if it was impossible to make paper here, and you could only import paper, like all the good paper was imported, and they'd be like, well, there's not a First Amendment concern with getting paper. Come on.
Yeah, come on. You just got it.
You can just write your books on toilet paper and distribute it.
Write it on like wood.
Wait, why won't you tweet it? You tweet it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but imagine if there was a foreign country that made a good tech website at some point, and it wasn't just America carrying all of the internet, and that they were like, no, you can't use those websites because they're imported.
Yeah. In this case, though, they are paying attention to the fact that it has ramifications outside of commerce, because that's what they're doing. They're clearly trying to control something other than commerce.
That's funny. They're like, wait, hold on. Americans are so good at arms dealing, they might actually impact the war. Let's make sure they can only sell to one side of the war.
They were upset because there might be a trench clearing video with a sub 2000 and they cannot let us know how good it is.
Yeah.
Why did they also pause exports on paragliders? This is weird. And rollerblades. Take notes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's.
Oh, did you know the sub 2000 got better recently? By the way, Red Lion came out with a new M-Lock compatible rotating forend, so you can
Just use iron sights.
What? No. You gotta put the pistol scope on it. That's the best way.
I can't I can hate on it, but I've shot his gun at over 100 yards.
I have video evidence of like 10 out of 10, 200 yards with the sub 2000 with a little 3x pistol scope. Like, it's the best.
Yeah, no, I did it. I shot it, and it just kind of worked.
Yeah,
It is awesome. Yeah, I hate how good what you did is, but it was.
It's gotten better though. They made it even better now.
Did it still cost you like $1,500 fully loaded?
I think I have like $1,200 sunk into it sub 2000 because I literally bought everything I could put on it. But there's some problems there because I tried things out and I went, "This is garbage." I kept switching around.
So wait, does the 1,200 include everything or just what's on the gun?
No, probably everything. I know you could get away a lot. If you want to, look, I know we're off topic, but if you want to upgrade a sub 2000 because they're cheap as crap right now, like go buy one. The M Carbo rear sight, and then the Red Lion forend, the rotating indexing forend, and the Red Lion front sight. If you just buy those three things, like incredible performance gains in terms of the shooting. Now there's trigger jobs and better blah 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 blah. Yeah, and you can do what you got to do because they don't have the best triggers. They don't have the best. That trigger guard thing is really rubbery. But in terms of just actually like being able to see what you're shooting and attach accessories, yeah. And even if you don't want to attach accessories, just getting the Red Lion front sight and the M Carbo rear sight, which is weird because it's two different manufacturers, but that combination is the best combo.
I don't know why, but that reminded me of the X-Tar gun.
What's the X-Tar gun?
The X-Tar gun is like, it fits in that hyper lightweight backpacker thing, but instead of the like foldy capabilities, it just focuses on retarded lightweightedness. And I don't know. I think we should probably cover it.
EXTAR?
EXTAR.
Okay, now I gotta.
It's a solid plastic AR9.
Oh, it's solid plastic. I was gonna say it looks really chubby for an ultralight, but
it weighs nothing. I'm
gonna be honest. I'm very confused by 9mm carbine designs.
You want to know something that I realized?
What?
They're overbuilt.
Yeah, that's what I've been yelling about it forever. Every major 9mm carbine I see, other than the sub 2000, is unnecessarily complicated or big or whatever. And you're going, you literally just need like a tube and a blowback. I mean, I know you can make it better if you add things for recoil, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I don't care. But like, if you're looking for an inexpensive 9mm carbine, why aren't we seeing more designs that are just tubes, like blowback tubes?
Well, have you ever seen the like 45 and 40 cal AR 40, AR PCCs?
Yeah.
The bolts are the same because you like mechanically can't really change much. And yeah, sure, they use a special buffer, but they are not putting it like anywhere near the normal mass of like a safe operated direct blowback. And they just run fine.
Right.
And it's like, what is the deal here? Like, why are they so like, what is it about? Because the AR platform was not designed as a blowback gun.
Right.
But why is it so overbuilt as a blowback gun?
Right.
I don't know. Ivan, do you have a thought on that?
I feel like it's just got to be because you do put heavy springs in them, and then some of those buffer weights that you put in there like doubles the reciprocating mass. Yeah. Like they're really heavy, and then I know there's like the A5 length buffer where they put a longer buffer tube on the gun to stick a longer buffer in there because some of them still don't want to cycle right. And then I guess the other factor there is the AR's action in general, converted to a pistol caliber, lets you get pretty much complete chamber support, and it lets you get the whole cartridge in there because it's being built around a rifle in terms of bolt face. Right. Your bolt face breech face relationship means that you're used to having all but the rim of that cartridge in the chamber. Whereas there's Uzis and Macs have like 10 millimeters of the case sticking out of the chamber. Yeah. It's like, the thick web at the bottom of the case is all the way out, and it's just the thin wall of the case is sort of hanging out there. It's tempting fate, and the only thing that's keeping it from blowing out is the fact that the bolt's heavy enough. Yeah.
And so with the ARs, just the fact that the opening velocity may be too fast, but pressure is dropping by the time you get to the thin case wall.
Right.
And how I realized this? So at one point I got most of the assets of a gun company, and they had done different calibers of PCCs, and I had gotten the box of bolts, and I was like, these are oddly uniformed. And then I looked, and I just saw they just had one bolt, and they had a 10 mil and a 9 mil and a 40 and a 45, and they would just use a different end mill on the face. And I was like,
right.
Oh my God, that's so unsafe. And then I looked, and it's like, oh my God, that's how everyone does it. And then I put my face behind it, and it was fine.
I know there's some people who have blown up 10 mil AR, AR9 10 mil builds that then so if you put a carbine buffer, like a regular rifle carbine buffer with a regular spring, and use aluminum case 10 mil, it will consistently blow up. So that's where you're at in terms of margin of safety. It will consistently have cases, blow up, split in half, case heads coming off.
It's like the 6.5 Betterly of the modern world. Like, you could do it, but you don't want to get it wrong at all.
You can do it, but yeah. What were you going to say with that?
Oh no, all I'm saying is this. So tell me if I'm crazy. Take the Kel-Tec Sub 2000, make it not fold, right? Then replace the plastic buttstock with an AR compatible tube.
Yep.
And then watch everybody clap. That's all I'm going to say. And
give it an 8-inch barrel.
Yeah, SBR it or something, or make it so that it's readily SBRable or has interchangeable handguards of some sort.
Trace.
But the problem people have with that gun is it doesn't have the modularity that they want, because that big plastic casting.
Just make it take. You could make it take AR triggers, and then what other modularity do you want? Fuck off. You don't need it.
Yeah, I mean. Well, the handguard issue, people want to.
You could make it take AR handguards because,
the TAC-9, but no one's sitting there clapping at the TAC-9.
Like if you look at the AR's lineage, right? It started as a machining from a tube for the upper, and the barrel nut setup was invented from the gun being a tube. So just have your barrels have a little flange on them and have literally an AR barrel nut secure it, and then you can do AR handguards.
I feel like the TAC-9 gets too far away from the Sterling. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of, people don't understand. They don't look at the Sub 2000. They don't see the Sterling. But it's a tube, a blowback tube. It is. I'm not saying it's the Sterling, but it is more the Sterling than other 9mm carbines are.
I guess the one thing that the TAC-9 doesn't do of what you're saying is that the TAC-9 uses an AR buffer tube, but it doesn't use it. So you're wasting that receiver length. So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're saying like having something where you still have that rear charging capability because the bolt mass is going behind the grip, which
I mean you could put the charging handle wherever you need to have it to interact. Like you could theoretically do an overhead charge or anything else you need to do if you just put a bump in the tube.
I actually think the rear charge is great.
It's fine. I think it bothers people. Get worried about it. There's a lot of weird psychological stuff around the way that gun went. I know we all make fun of it. It's a meme gun, right? But if you actually pay attention to how people react to that gun, they have all sorts of weird concerns about it. They don't like the charging handle reciprocating underneath them, even though it's nowhere where it's going to hit you. Bearded guys hate it because the plastic at the back catches your beard, which doesn't happen to me often on like an AR style. So there's something to be redesigned there. But there's little things that make people uncomfortable. The folding, they don't believe it holds zero. They just don't believe it, and there's just a lot of little things where it's a good little gun, but it sort of looks shabby in a way that people don't trust it. It's shifty looking to people. I just find it funny. There's sort of, I wonder if there's like a gun psychology there that we're missing out on.
There has to be.
Yeah, it's very efficient and small, and it does cool things, and everybody doesn't trust it.
I think you're onto something.
And then everybody turns around and goes, "Hey, you know what's great? High points, they're amazing." And you go,
You'll ask.
I think work, but like the High Point is supposed to be distrustful looking, and yet people trust it. And then this thing, for some reason, it's in the uncanny valley of I don't trust that thing.
I bought a 1095 right when they came out, and I bought God help me, I bought it at the Big Daddy retail store.
Ooh, unlimited even.
Yeah, and oh my God, that thing rattled itself apart so dramatically. I was impressed. Like, all of the fasteners came loose, and I still don't have anything really negative to say about it. But people don't afford the Keltec that level of grace. That's shitty. Guys, go out and hug a sub 2K.
They're so cheap right now.
Are they? I mean, so they're like
Didn't they have them on rebate where like after rebate it was like
PSA was selling for like $250.
Whoa!
Right. It's like after rebate they're like $250.
If that's still happening, I'm gonna go buy another
I
one
know.
because I've only got a 40.
You should take it apart and rebuild it as like a fixed short barrel with an AR stock and see if everybody claps.
You know what I will say though? I shot the integrally suppressed one. Not impressed.
You know, my problem with that is they God, we were way down the rabbit hole. They made it so that it rotates so that you can mount an optic.
Yeah.
And this is I have to say, Red Lion gets no press. Nobody talks about Red Lion. They created a 4-point indexing forend because if you want to stow an optic, you need to be able to flip it 180 degrees out of the way of the hinge, and also in such a way as to keep the gun flat. The reason why people like 1911s, the reason why people like the FN 1900, the reason why people liked a lot of certain guns is because they were flat guns. Flat is a very concealable feature. And so you see these things like Smith & Wesson did their folding gun, and they made it fold in half across horizontally, and now it's just this chubby brick.
It's awful.
And they're like, look, you can fit it in a backpack. And you're like, yeah, but nothing else. Like, if I can't put like a textbook in with it, then what have I done? I've just made this tube backpack that I don't understand, you know? And so the Sub 2000 is the only gun I know of that actually stays flat and it's very flat. It's very narrow. And for mine, when I added, I have a magnified optic. I use the Red Lion for it, and it's a very flat gun that when I open it, the irons pop up and I could use them. Or if I have a second, I can adjust it to bring up the scope, which is perfectly reasonable. No one seems to have adapted to the solution. The market has moved totally towards some other weird insanity, despite a very simple solution being right there. And even Keltec themselves are like, oh, okay, we're going to have the forend rotate when we do the suppressed version. 45 degrees. What?
That's good.
That's like, I mean, it's not 90, so I guess it doesn't stick out as much, but give me 180 so that I can get it out of the way and fold it flat. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, sorry.
We should
be
beat
my
them
TED
up.
Talk.
We should stop at Coco.
I want to.
Just go. Yeah, we'll stop by.
Maybe they let me in. They probably let me in, right?
If you gave them at least 2 days notice.
No, I'm gonna knock.
If you knock, they will get pissed.
Yeah, lots
That
of
last
people.
time I went there and knocked, furious.
Yeah, but I'm cuddlier than you. I have like shown up unannounced and knocked my way into so many cool places.
Okay, cool. Anyway,
I got into Quantico by saying bomb a lot.
Anyway, next up, we have talked about these laws a lot. The like public nuisance perversion laws, right? Where states create a new cause of action specifically to harass people in the gun industry, or even just like people who are very gun adjacent.
Oh,
and
really?
what they'll do is they'll just declare that your activity is a public nuisance, and thus contort like hundreds of years of law in the mind of judges that are in no way applicable to what you're actually doing. So New York, New Jersey, they're the same, really. They're just all terrible. But New Jersey Attorney General has filed complaints against several such people now, and they are JSD Supply and Eagle Shows, the gun show people, basically suggesting that what this really is they're just like, oh, you're having 80% to be sold, right?
Oh wait, is the public nuisance part the 80%?
So they're saying that yes, these guns are a public nuisance, and this type of behavior is a public nuisance, and they've directed their sales into New Jersey, and we can tell they've directed their sales into New Jersey because some of their products have wound up here. And so they've thus violated the New Jersey law and are amenable to a lawsuit here in New Jersey because a New Jerseyan went and got something and brought it back here.
How is an 80% a public nuisance?
Because they've made a law that said it is.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to like. It doesn't make any noise. It doesn't.
Well, no, you don't understand. There's a common law public nuisance, and then also this gun is a public nuisance.
What?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
There's what everybody would agree a public nuisance is, and then they also added to a separate definition of public nuisance is you have a gun.
The Attorney General brings.
But 80% isn't even a firearm. That's great.
I wouldn't worry about it. The Attorney General brings this action to stop and remedy defendants' unlawful sale to New Jersey residents of products designed to create unserialized, untraceable firearms, commonly known as ghost guns. Defendants who know full well that ghost guns are illegal in New Jersey deliberately sell their products at gun shows just across the New Jersey-Pennsylvania border. You know what we in English would say, not in New Jersey. They do so.
But you don't understand. They have power beyond their borders now.
No, you don't understand. They are
You're not allowed to think about going into Jersey.
In order to make ghost guns readily accessible to New Jersey residents by selling them outside of New Jersey, even though such weapons have been illegal in New Jersey for years. And that's why we need to drag them here into New Jersey and give them a spank.
It's insane. It is insane to me that the only justification for the existence of the federal government was to keep this exact thing from happening. This is the literal only reason that everybody got together and they're like, okay, well, we should stop the states from criminalizing things that are legal right across the way in an attempt to trap the other states into their own courts.
Right.
Because to keep the states from being like, oh, if somebody in another state does a thing that we don't like, but one of those things shows up here, we're going to tax that state double, triple, extra.
Yeah.
And I mean, here I don't
and then also, oh, you're gonna buy cotton from Georgia? Well, we in Alabama don't like that, so we're gonna put a 800% import tax. Right? Those were the reasons they created a federal union. That's actually why.
So that the states aren't laying like legal minefields for the states that border them, so that they can like bleed money or commerce or whatever it is that they don't like about another state out of them.
So we got the worst deal. This country was the worst fucking deal of all time. So first off, we gave up part of Virginia to the feds. Let them have effectively, a national bank over time, but not at first, just to keep the capital from being in New York City. We lost that one because I feel like New York would be slightly less awful if they had a stupid building height requirement. So that was a bad deal. And then the whole reason we even started.
Excuse me. No, wait. If they had a building height requirement, like if they had a cutoff, they would just have spread out wider. They're better contained if they're vertical.
Well, so I do wonder what DC would be if we didn't make that stupid deal. It would be just a swamp. It would have been fine.
Actually, see, DC is what you get when you have a height requirement on New York. Just spreads out.
And then like the whole damn reason. And what's the federal government going to do about this? Do you think they're going to do anything about this?
No, and that's the shitty part. Is like the federal court system was designed so like in the insane thing is like New York has done these exact same suits and they've gotten they've won gotten favorable settlements out of these sorts of suits before, because the parties in these cases motioned to move to federal court and the federal courts are like, no, this is a state law issue. And I'm sitting there reading it like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Federal courts, you have one reason for, well, I guess 2 reasons for existing.
Yeah.
So I can sue the federal government
how they
until I can fix
justified
this.
This is exactly how they justify the FFL network entirely.
Right.
They're like, oh, it's interstate commerce. And you're like, oh, okay, so can you handle it? No. No, we only cite interstate commerce when we want to hurt gun ownership, not when we want to help it.
Wait, no, hold on. So hold on. This is serious. You said that they're implicating interstate commerce all on their own. Are they? And they're trying to move more guns, right? They're trying to move. Are they trying to restrict them? That's a state issue, son. I can't help you.
It's just crazy. The public nuisance stuff is bad. It's bad.
If I were to admit to selling, private selling a firearm to somebody out of state, they'd be all over that.
Yeah, no, they would be on you like beans on rice,
right.
Man. Anyway, speaking of rice and beans, MAF Corporation. Wow, it's the Florida Wind Chime Consortium of Vendors. Go on MAF. If you use code FUDBusters, that's a new discount made just for you, and it's a big fat one. You're going to get 10% off. We were talking about the tax. We got tax. We were talking about Blastikovs. There is Blastikov chime wind things available in 5.45 caliber. Mr. Pistol 5 and etc. Other things are available for sale. Check it all out. Use that promotional code FUDBusters so I can track the analytics. And there's also chime time sales and blowouts. Closeouts, not blowouts. And then we got a whole new series of apparel merchandise items to purchase on the internet right now. So that's maf-arms.com and use promotional code FUDBusters to buy the item. Next up.
Do you think FUDBusters would be willing to make a t-shirt for me?
Yes.
I want one that says firearm safety ends at home.
Hell yeah. With a picture of a
we do need to work on a trigger confidence shirt. Like, I do think that that's a thing I need to do.
That'd be pretty good. Got to cash in on the grift before it's over.
By the way, with your whole trigger argument that you defined for a long time in that one episode, have you not been going and checking a ton of old like war documentaries and movies and stuff, and just why have you not been screenshotting? Yeah, but why are you not screenshotting this and just posting it like every day? Just being like, "Look, John Wayne."
I just do it for Jeff Cooper, right? Because Jeff Cooper is the guy who like popularized these 4 rules anyway. And there's multiple pictures of him pointing a gun with his finger on the trigger straight at a camera, and there's no way that camera's on a tripod. There's a guy holding it because it's like straight down the barrel of it, and that would be a difficult thing to set up with before digital cameras. Nah, he's just pointing the gun at a camera, man.
Yeah, but that's illegal.
Yeah, you should swap him.
Go and tell the guy who invented the rules that you repeat as if it's like dogma handed down on stone tablets by God to Moses himself.
Yeah, right.
You just won't stop talking about them. And here's the guy who like is the reason you know him. It's God with the stone tablets in this case.
Yeah, he's
pointing a gun down your fucking throat.
Yeah,
with his finger on the trigger.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I forgot what the question you asked was.
He was talking about the war.
Oh yeah, no. Like so we've got pictures of like John Browning and like every firearms designer whenever they're posing with their guns always have their fingers on the
Browning
triggers.
and Kalashnikovs could not get their fingers off of triggers. Like every picture of them is just like this is where it goes.
Eugene Colt.
How are you not posting these? That's all I'm saying.
We do.
I have been.
Okay.
Yeah, I do too. But I much more enjoy the I wait till I'm 3 comments down in a thread before I'll break character and be like, actually, unironically, here you go, idiot. But I play the character of just like a center of the intelligence distribution, the
why is it bad?
Zone. Yeah, and it's just my favorite thing to do is just reply, huh? And just watch, because I have this unbelievable power.
Why don't you just reply, "It's not loaded"? Because that makes me angrier.
Because I have a magical power where I put Shift H U H Shift ? Enter, and then somebody across the country sits there and types words at me.
He types a whole fucking novel about how. Oh my gosh! Mr. Jimmy Pooper made a 4 rules. He was a big war hero. He didn't just sit on a 5-inch gun on a boat for the entire war and never see action. He was a war hero. And he said you're not allowed to do and touch it.
Huh?
Are you guys bitter about this? I feel like you might be a little bitter.
I just think it's funny. Maybe it's.
I'm enjoying it. I'm getting blue checkmark welfare from this.
That's a fact.
I am loving it. And yeah, I'm going to come out with a shirt I'm cash in on the grift or whatever it is. But it is. So the one thing that I have viewed as a positive from it, and because I actually talked to some other people like Dianexus, I was like, hey, should I like keep doing this? And they're like, yes, if anything, it's just kind of like cool to see a new gun every day. So it is just like I'm trying to take a vaguely high quality picture of just a different gun from my collection every day. So anyway, next up, so this is really interesting. The Hunter Biden case, right? A lot of people sit here and spill ink over this and like talk nonsense. So we're going to do that. We're going to spill ink and talk nonsense. But it's digital ink with our mouths. So for the longest time, they had worked out a sweetheart settlement deal. And the judge said, no. And that put Hunter Biden's defense counsel in the awkward position where they now have to actually, in good faith, make a case-winning argument. And they've done it. They are pulling the nuclear option out, and they're arguing that the charges are unconstitutional.
I hope he wins.
Yes. So, and again, all of this relates back to lying on a Form 4473, and that.
Wait, hold on. Wait, let's recap for a second. What did he lie about?
So there's a couple things, right? But the one that everyone wants to lock in on is the false statement in that he denied that he was a user of controlled substances, right?
When he was clearly a user of controlled substances.
Right. And the trouble is like normally the ATF doesn't charge this one because they charge one of the other ones. Like normally the people who are users of these things that do lie on these forms are caught with the thing in the gun, and that's a whole separate crime. And that one's really easy to prove because it's like you had both.
Or they acquire felonies or something crazy.
Proving that somebody lied on the form requires proving that they knew they were lying, which is normally really hard to do because anybody can just be like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're like, I was too high to remember whether or not I used drugs.
But unfortunately for Hunter Biden, he included in his book that he was a habitual crack cocaine user at the same time. Like he admitted in a book that he published and made money off of that he was using crack at the same time he bought the gun, which is difficult to then say that I didn't do it.
I was so high that I
was a novel
gun.
The book was made up.
Was a gun?
It was a fiction book.
But the false statement is the core, right? Right. The 922A6 is not the core of the issue. The false statement is. So like all of ATF's charges that they bring on these like straw purchases cases relate to, oh, you lied to us in the form. And so now they're threatening that linchpin capability.
Right.
Like, and I just think that this is some good food. I don't think it's the best case for this, mind.
No.
But it is just deeply cathartic, right? To watch, because it's a government lizard, right? That watch them in this position where they have to then make the arguments that we've been making. And I hope they win. That's what I hope.
I've really enjoyed the spasming from the anti-gun side who love Biden and all of the wonderful things, and his family is the best and greatest, right? They love him. But then they're seeing how the laws that they favor and want expanded onto more, so that more people would be applicable to them, right? They want more people brought under this regulatory regime. And then seeing it used, they're like, oh, no, that's not fair. That's not fair. Look, it's not fair. He was just dealing with something that bad, like admittedly, right? Drug addiction is a sad thing that's not good for people. And then they're like, oh, look at how we should be sympathetic to him. While the other side of their mouth are saying we should expand this regulatory regime and make sure more people get put in this situation that we say is wrong and bad and unfair.
Can you imagine though the world that we would earn if the case that crippled 4473 prosecutions was Biden v. United States?
That would be huge.
Oh my God, that would be so good. That's why it has to go this way. Oh my God.
I love, by the way, that you mentioned earlier, that the focus is whether or not he lied, not whether or not he was a user of drugs while carrying around a firearm.
Right.
And so you're going, wait, why is that on the form? Oh, well, we don't want drug addicts running around with firearms. Oh, okay. Well, here's a drug addict that was running around with firearms very publicly now. Oh, we should get him for lying, maybe. Wait, I thought the court, it's on the form because you really don't, like, we have to have millions of people a year check this box because it's so important that it not happen. And now it happened, so we're going to prosecute that right now.
No.
Of course, here's a legal pondering. The ATF pretty much on their own through like executive action gets to decide what's on a 4473, right? Like are some of the, I guess some of those questions are statutorily required.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering if like they realize they're about to lose this, can they do the old classic whoopsie daisy, we changed the form and now you've lost standing, it's mooted, bye.
Don't give them ideas.
I don't think that they could do that with.
No, it wouldn't moot the case.
Yeah, no, I don't think they could with this one.
Because so this is why standing is fucking stupid. Me and Ivan were on Rakita the other night, and we actually had a great conversation with him about standing
and underwear parties.
Yeah, and underwear parties.
And carburetors. Carburetor on the new Shelby GT 500.
I like the part where you guys were like, "Oh man, we're hanging out with this really degenerate guy. This is awkward." And
we both like Nick, by the way.
And I went.
It's funny. I was.
Yeah, hold on.
We were just bantering.
You're saying you like him, but then you're also going, "Wow, this is awkwardly degenerate." And I like you guys, and I hang out on your server. It's awkwardly degenerate to me.
And I like you guys. And you're awkwardly.
Let's not compare degeneracy now. I'm sure everyone does things that or whatever. But anyway, this is terrible. The point of this is that standing is shitty. Like
Sitting
in this instant case, right? So the question is, if they go and change the form, does this moot the case? If this was an association of people who had been convicted or whatever, arguing for the statute's constitutionality or the practices, like a derivative practices action, yes, it would, because it would no longer be an active case, right? It would be really hard to be in that position, though.
But it's a criminal prosecution.
People, basically going against people who are saying that they have an ongoing issue. But yeah, the damage is done.
Right.
So the controversy is clear. The only way to moot the case is to let him go and dismiss the charges.
Right.
It's the only way you moot a criminal prosecution, which might not be a bad idea, but
if they felt they were losing.
If they if they felt they were losing or there was a chance they were doing, but here's the issue. They can't do that because it's the president's son, and how much egg would Justice Department have on their face?
It'd be big egg on face, and then open up some avenue to then sue over the same question that's going on here, and then force them to either remove it or do something.
Yeah. So it's a big, funny, fun game. Speaking of that,
he's already pre-giggling.
Now he's pre-scowling.
What do you guys think is missing from the AR-15 pattern?
Big boobs.
Oh, are you talking about this whole AR-15 M16 argument, or what are we talking about by pattern?
The pattern.
Oh, pattern.
In the way like a normal person would view it, right? Like the broad AR category, everything that the descendants of Tribe AR-15 of those 10 select fire rifles that then went on to reproduce and create the XM series and the M16 and the Sporter.
Oh, he's really deep into this argument, but okay. So what's missing from AR-15s?
Yeah,
design-wise, mechanically.
Yeah,
a charging handle that doesn't overgas you in the eyeballs.
I think you're onto something. And Jard has a solution for you. The Jarva
charging handle.
Yeah. So they got rid of that charging handle. They put it right here.
That's what I want.
Yeah, you want your.
You need to describe this for the audio listeners.
So this is Jard, who's a cool company that I have a decent relationship with. They have come up with.
They were nice to him in an email. That's what it means. Like
they were nice to me in a series of emails.
Okay.
Anyway, this J Arbra it goes on an AR-15 lower, but it's a bolt action upper, and to where basically it looks like the bolt carrier is integrated with the bolt head, and so you've got this huge like Remington 700 looking charging handle chilling out above your mag well that you presumably grab and cycle it as a bolt action rifle.
All the best bolt action rifles have the bolt turned down 4 inches in front of the trigger.
Yes, that's so it's faster.
Yeah, it's like the Car 88.
But look, and dude, you could have a bolt action AR upper for only $924.94
That's a regular good amount
for an upper
Does that
receiver.
shoot 223?
I don't know. Probably.
What's the
They should-
chamber did?
they should make it single shot in 22-250. I'd buy one.
Yeah, they come. So it's obvious they're going for a band state thing or band country thing because I know they do a lot of business with the Canadians. Because it's comes standard with an unthreaded barrel, you have to pay an extra $17 to get it threaded. And let's see what calibers it comes in.
Now, do people do this accessories platform? Is that really what they're doing?
Currently only available in 223-556. But which one? I don't want it to get overpressure. Wait, what were you saying?
I was going to say, do people do these weird AR substitutes as a way to be able to use the parts market for the AR? You know,
Yeah.
the drop-in
Is that what
triggers.
it is?
I mean, it has to be. Why else wouldn't you make something different?
So I do know that there are companies who make AR-15s like specifically non-automatic to get around California and New York, like other state laws. And so, yeah, then the question is, well, why, right? Like, then why not just use a different gun?
Like, why wouldn't they be making Remington 700s at this point? But
And
because AR mags and triggers and grips and stocks and hand guards and
I just don't get it. I don't see. Or is it like this is as close as you can get and still have the mag come out type thing, where it's just a series of compromises?
I just think what they're trying to do is they're trying to capture the entire. You got to understand, man. There's no other modular market like the AR.
That's
there
true.
never has been.
1911 is
so-
probably the next closest, and it's a long way off.
Yeah, but it's not even that modular. I mean,
Right.
you're just really sort of swapping individual.
Because there's like
change
6
it.
different patterns and profiles and footprints and ramps and all this different stuff. And like AR's maybe got like the ramps and the upper making a difference.
Right, and there's a lot of fun to be had tinkering around with an AR. I mean, I have
Right.
one that Matt's played with that I've done all sorts of crap. Oh, wait, I don't know if you played with mine actually. Mine has all sorts of dumb crap on it.
No, I have.
Like, I have like a fold-out side charging handle and stuff just for the fun. Just really, what happens if you do this? Oh, that's a lot more fun that way, actually. So,
Yeah, no, your AR doesn't make me mad the way your Yugo PAP does.
excuse me, my Yugo Pap is extremely good, but actually, almost all my modern guns are just sort of me going, "Can I do this? Oh, that was funny." And everybody kind of gets mad at me because that has like almost no tactical advantage in a real firefight. But I'm like, it goes ping. Like,
The engraving gives you no tactical advantage whatsoever.
I'm just going, I'm having a good time. I buy garbage and I bolt it on here and it's kind of easy and it makes me feel like I did something productive and I didn't. Like, I don't, it's very equivalent to adults who play with Legos.
It is. It's a basic human satisfaction thing, right? Where
Right.
you do physical work with your hands and then you can see that something happened. So
it's kind of like the video game reward system, but better, you know?
Yeah.
And we're just like, hey, do the thing, and then you get the point. And I'm
Yeah,
just
because
going,
you can't make a good cop with a video game.
So, but here's the shocker, right? Of this Jarbra. I want it. I want that.
They should make it in different funny calibers, and then maybe
So I do wonder why they say it's only available in 223. Like,
because that's just all that they're making at this point. Because
but it like, does it not use a regular locking extension?
I'm sure it does.
If it does, if it uses a regular barrel, I can't speak, barrel shank, you could probably swap it out fairly easily, I would imagine.
Right, I'm sure you could just switch it out to 300 blackout, but probably the thing that they're trying to cater to is having these in stock to sell them, because it's not new ground. There's a couple other companies that do the same thing more or less, but if they want to have them on stock and in stock and ready for people to buy, they're not going to tie up the capital and making it in calibers that they're not sure are going to sell. So do it in the safe one and then see, because like where I think this would actually be really cool and fun is making a Delisle. Because like if you made this in 45, then I'd want
like the modern,
right, like a modern Delisle set up and put it with a suppressor or something like that. Would get me
I'm disappointed by how many things are made, like how few things are made in 45 ACP these days. That especially because suppressors are so big.
Yeah,
and it's naturally subsonic. You're going, why isn't?
Because 40 is too. 180 grain 40 is too.
Yeah, but come on.
And then it fits in regular mix.
Yeah,
I do take your point from a standpoint that I really do like 45 as a hot roddable suppressor friendly pistol.
It's also, I'm sorry, 45 is a great submachine gun cartridge. It's a better submachine gun cartridge than it is a handgun cartridge.
I agree. I
think the only thing that would make me not agree is the fact that there's like 2 magazines that have ever been designed that are good for 45, and they're both like either not in production or expensive.
Yeah, but that's just availability. That's not a concept.
Right. I certainly agree that 45 is a good submachine gun cartridge, and it's really only wanting for the good submachine gun to put it in, or good magazines to use it in.
Right. That's fair. That's fair.
Because the UMP is bad, and the Thompson's bad, and the LWRC SMG is bad, and
Riesing's good.
Riesing's fun at least.
People can fight me on that. People are like, "Yo, the Riesing, I watched the video."
How about this? The Riesing's better than the Thompson from a shootability standpoint. You can complain about Marines and Jungle Swamp, Mud Butter, Bonsai Attack.
I'll go out and say that Grease Gun's good.
Grease Gun's good.
Yeah,
it's better than Thompson.
It's good to shoot.
Way better than Thompson. I think that the shooting experience of the Riesing is better than the Grease Gun, but if I was going to pick one as a weapon to actually use, I'd probably pick a Grease Gun, just because
that's fair.
The Riesing does act a little weird, right? But it's delayed blowback. It's cool. It's a locked action.
Plus, you got to reach in there and finger around to cock it.
You do have to do it with both of them, really.
Yeah,
the Grease.
Unless it's a first gen Grease.
Yeah, the first one had the crank handle. So
in which case, don't drop your gun.
I've never shot the UD-42. That would be a fun one to try.
Oh, I've shot one of those.
Did they make the Smith & Wesson carbines in 45? They made them in 9mm, but did they ever try them in 45? You know what I'm talking about? The World War II ones they tried selling to the British?
Oh, yeah, the ones with the long magwell?
Yeah. I'm trying to... I don't remember. Anyway, yeah, I want to shoot a UD-42. That sounds fun.
It does sound fun. But yeah, and I also want to shoot a Jarba. I do. And I could
Jarba in 45. It would be so good. I won't hear otherwise.
Got some 45 AR barrels in the bag.
I think it would be a good gun.
Wow, let's make one. Call up Jard. Make them be nice to you this time.
Whoa,
Mr. Big Man.
The bolt face would be an interesting. Of course,
it would be a totally insurmountable issue, I think.
No, you could do it. You could do it. Because your bolt head's the same as it's a little bigger than 760 by 39. I think you just have a really, really thin web.
45 ACP is 308 bolt head.
Right. But then I think that makes it slightly larger than 760 by 39. But you could get maybe just a little bit more out of it because 45 is low enough pressure. I think you could just convert an AR bolt head.
I don't know. Let's see. Let's find out. But, I just had another think because we were talking about that.
What? Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
I'm thinking, what's to stop us from just taking an AR bolt head and just using an incredibly simple, partially printed or aluminum housing and attaching a bolt handle to it?
Oh, no. I was thinking if you had a pinfire harmonica gun and a powerful enough stepper motor, you could just, rip it.
45 is just under a millimeter larger in diameter, so I think you could do it. You just have a really, really thin web on your bolt head.
Then 760 by 39?
Yeah. So you'd have a really thin web, but I think
you might not have a web.
You guys are doing the engineer thing. Everybody's lost and they're bored of you.
We're making a
Fuck them.
Yeah, go.
This is how we do the stuff that they like.
Go.
Anyway, you know what else they like? PatriotPatch.co. These
is like a cartoon, but it doesn't move, and you could put it on yourself.
That's right, and every month you get a new one. That's just like the one I got right here. That's not me.
That's not you at all.
This is me. Just the Santa Claus. And if you sign up for the Patch of the Month Club, you are going to get automatically every month a new one of these with the art and a sticker. The sticker is like a very nice version of the same thing. And yeah, guys,
Kind of a
guys who
spoopy
Patrick,
Santa.
you need to
I'm
join
spooked out.
stuff like this. But check out all of the other parts of the site, guys. And when you do, I think you'll find that there's some interesting stuff. There's a clearance section. A
Wait, click
wholesale-
on the signs.
the what?
The signs.
Okay.
What kind of signs they got?
I'm your Huckleberry. They got the 4 rules.
Oh wow! Then we'll know not to do that thing you guys do all the time.
Nah, I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
They actually sent me the 4 rules cleaning mat. I think we should. I think
Take
I should
pictures
start
with
putting
it.
guns on it. Yeah, cleaning mats. Oh, they
Yeah.
don't have it. Yeah, they sent me a 4 rules cleaning mat, and
Oh no, they're out of stock.
of what?
The 4 rules cleaning mat.
It's just not here right now, I guess.
Yeah, I know. That's a rare collectible now.
I ain't giving it up. I need that for Twitter posting.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, that's patriotpatch.co. Use promotional code TWIG10 to get a discount on your odor, specifically compliments of us.
You're welcome.
Check them out. Patriotpatch.co.
You're welcome. Say it back.
Yeah. You're welcome. All right. So, yeah, that's all the news. Any other tangents you're just desperate to go down?
What, me?
Yeah.
I kept it on topic this whole time.
You did a great job. I'm asking if there's any.
I'm the best.
I'm asking
No,
if
I
there's
don't.
any.
What do you want to do? I'm falling out of my chair.
I hope you still have that old bottle of Ballistol because I want it.
But the reproduction one?
Yeah, you said you'd hold one for me.
Yeah, I've got a spare one. Do you want it?
Yeah. I'm so excited
Okay.
about that. I've been thinking about that.
I forgot. I never gave you one.
Do you have
But,
any empty ones? Because that'd be a fun shot glass.
I know, right? I've considered that, or just like keep syrup in it.
Be like, what are you
At the
doing?
breakfast table.
Making pancakes. Just
Just using my Ballistol.
Yeah.
put mustard in it and put it on your ketchup, on your hot dog.
You can put on your AK.
Oh my gosh.
Mustard would look out of
Mustard
place.
AK.
Syrup would be believable.
How to
Ballistol's legit. Oh my god.
I use
Like
it all the time.
You know it's Sue's.
I use Ballistol to clean my cast iron pan.
I use well, it's food safe. I mean, practically, they don't. The problem for them is they don't want to file with the FDA and go through all that crap. But I mean, it's a medicinal oil is what started as the base. Except for the aerosolized version is aerosolized, guys.
They
Please,
put stuff in it.
yeah, please understand. We're talking about the liquid version.
Yeah.
Sue's, somebody had told me, one of their reps had mentioned that it's really good for mosquito bites, but he didn't clarify. So Sue's is kind of allergic to mosquitoes. She'll get big welts that last for hours. And she got bit up, and I said, "Oh yeah, the rep told me that Ballistol is pretty good for it. You should try it." So she takes one of the Ballistol wipes and like wipes herself all over these mosquito bites. And I was like, "Is it helping?" And she goes, "No, now I'm just oily and itchy." And I went, "Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I guess that wasn't a good idea." And then I left because I was going somewhere. And then I came home like 6 hours later, and she goes, "I gotta go to college." And I went, "What?" And she goes, "After like 15 minutes or 10 minutes or so, the itching just like stopped, and the welts are almost gone, and normally this lasts all night for me." And I was like, "Oh wow, okay. I have no idea why that works."
It's because your body soaks up enough of the oil that it displaces whatever water-based something that's causing the inflammation that causes the itchiness.
I was gonna go with magic.
It could also be magic.
I also Ballistol's so cool that I had to send them an email being like, "Am I allowed to talk about Hitler?" Because literally Hitler was drinking that stuff. He's taking
Wow, I'm just like him.
Yeah, he was taking neoballistol orally for some sort of bowel issue that he had that nobody's really sure of even today, and it was apparently helping. But then it caused, because he kept pounding Ballistol, it was giving him like vision issues, because you're not supposed to, like anything, you're not supposed to just keep eating it. You know, it's more topical. You know, so they're like, "Oh yeah, you can't keep doing this, bro." And that, like, they switched him off of that, and he kept having stomach issues. And then shortly thereafter, he became the Hitler we all know and don't really care about very much. It was the period before he went completely off the deep end, and then all of a sudden he has like tummy troubles because he stopped pounding it. And I'm going, I feel like I need to mention this on my show. I was like, you guys kind of gave Hitler a tummy ache, and they're just like, yeah, send it. I don't care.
Exposed Ballistol to blame for Holocaust.
I think the yeah,
It was the absence thereof. If we had just kept feeding him Ballistol,
Yeah.
we'd have been all right.
so it's either they should have let him into the art school, or they shouldn't have taken his Ballistol bottle.
Or switch to enemas at least.
Enemas of Ballistol. That's good.
Yeah. By the way, that was neobalistol, not the gun oil one.
What's neobalistol?
It was their medicinal grade. They still have it actually in Europe, but they don't. They have
But
to
it's
go
like the
through
same shit, just made cleaner or something.
I can't say what specific parts of the formula they tweaked, but they are extremely minor. Because the whole point of balistol was built on what was called like a white oil or a medicinal oil back in the day. The medicinal oils were used as like antibiotic wound treatment and all sorts of things. Like don't forget, people used to like drink oil for dietary problems. So balistol broke into neobalistol as requirements in Europe developed to have some sort of separate testing between products that you put in your gun and your body. But it was supposed to be a universally good soldier's oil. So good for gun, good for leather, good for skin. I've seen studies on into the 1990s about people who had like surgery for gangrene and stuff, and they were applying balistol as an antibiotic that was sort of a mild one that would keep infection away but not cause all the other issues. And it was working well. So, I mean, they make no legal claim to it as a company, but I've weirdly after we were already using it a lot, but after getting sponsored by them, I started like using it more and was like, oh god, this is really useful crap, because now everybody's telling me the secrets that you're not allowed to advertise. So neat. I'm not on my channel, so I'm fine.
Yeah, cool. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. I don't know if I'm missing anything. We are.
I'm missing you, baby.
Miss you too, man. I'm gonna see you.
I'm gonna be down there soon. Yeah.
That's gonna be fun. I'm gonna get to meet him.
You're gonna get to meet him.
I had a sad moment today, though.
What was that?
Because you live like 5 hours from me, 5.5.
Yeah.
But I neglected to pay attention to what city was on the wedding, and I went, "Oh, that's 8 hours."
Oh. Yeah.
I went, crap.
But you're stopping by here first, right?
I don't know.
Whatever.
I'm trying to find a thing for you. I might have a trailer. I don't know.
I'm excited. All right, everybody. That's it for tonight. As always, we will see you next time.
Bye.